Montel, hi. So thank you so much for coming to Weasel News today. Obviously, you're here to speak about your firing as a department head at the DOJ.
Correct,
Mm.
correct.
So the first question, obviously, I would ask you is, I mean, on election day to speak as well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. I hope you are. Yeah. I just, since you did bring that up. Um, yeah, I felt, the mayoral race was very fair. We each had, a fighting chance. Um, and yeah, I mean, Brandy definitely deserves it, and I can't wait to see, the work and the passion that she puts into it, I hope it's as much as she did, with PPP. And I mean that with all good intentions. Like that was no tea, no shade at all.
Yeah, of course.
I just want to state that because a lot of people they like to draw conclusions. I'll say that.
Of course. On the first question on the topic of your firing, how did you hear about it? How were you informed by the DOJ?
So, um, I actually woke up in like my normal, wake up routine. I wake up, refresh myself, really, make sure I'm awake, before I dive into the world of things. Um, And, so I did that, my normal little routine, and then I went to check my emails, because at the time of my employment, I had a lot of, excuse me, I had a lot of suits ongoing. So I went to check that, and lo and behold, um, I had access to nothing, and I was a bit shocked to say the least.
I can imagine.
Um, so, I took the next flight that I could, into city, and I went to check my phone, and, lo and behold, I had a text. Yes, a text, um, from my boss, Isabella St. James, I believe her last name is now.
And
Uh,
would you be willing to read that and to supply the copy to Weasel News?
Of course, of course.
Thank you.
Um, so the text goes as stated. Hey Montel, unfortunately, your employment at the Department of Justice has been terminated for frequent and excessive insubordination and general disrespect. We wish you well in your future endeavors. Your bar license has been revoked, and to practice law any further would be a crime. Again, we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Hmm.
Yep, and that's
I suppose
blatantly.
as polite a way as they could have delivered it.
I mean, I suppose I just hope that was better than a text. I mean,
Yeah, you would of
goodness.
course imagine. Um. So
And I mean, I will say, I mean, I replied with, and I was like, what the fuck? I mean, is that not anybody's like general reaction to being
yeah, I
terminated
mean, I would be very
after
offended
putting,
if I would be very offended if Jackson fired me by text.
yeah,
Um. Did you have any inkling this was going to happen? Were there any rumblings behind the scene at DOJ, like at all?
none, none whatsoever. I mean, I was never, so, as my role, as a department head, I was kind of on the basis along the lines of a general manager of the sorts, or I guess you could say just manager. Um, so with that being said, I did a lot of the hiring for the department. I did a lot of interviews. A lot of the lawyers that are there now, I helped hire and train. Um, but with that being said, we never really had any like disciplinary, disciplinary. Yeah, I was trying to look up the best word to say, but disciplinary action in place. I mean, excuse me, system in place
Okay.
whatsoever for our employees. And I was never really like pulled aside. There was never like no formal write-ups, no formal meetings. No, I mean nothing. I mean nobody. I mean hell, I didn't know. I mean I didn't even know I made people feel like that. Truly.
Hmm.
Uh,
Obviously,
I mean.
it's been a very long campaign, so you didn't feel any political pressure or political discomfort prior to today from your colleagues?
So I didn't. I mean, if anything, I felt support from them. Um, but it has. after my termination, I will state, I reached out to Isabella in good faith and hopes that um, we can schedule a meeting in order just to kind of like talk about my termination, just so I can like actually get some closure. Because maybe truly there was a reason, I mean reasons, I guess you could say, um, to my unemployment, and if that was truly the case, I mean I would have simply moved on and accepted the loss. Uh, but I mean, I just really believe that was not the case.
Hmm.
But I will say this, in that meeting that I was finally able to have with her, her deputy chief justice, Courtney Reyes, was also present. Um, and when I asked Isabella about my termination, she sounded a bit like a broken sound record,
Mm.
just repeating the same things she simply stated over text, with adding along the lines of um, that she really shouldn't have to say why I was fired, which again, I mean, really confused me more.
Cryptic
Um,
almost. I'm wondering, can you tell me how things have been overall behind the scenes in the DOJ in terms of personalities?
Not everybody with the DOJ is awful.
Hmm.
Like I said, a lot of lawyers that I help, hire and train, they're great. And a lot of them have stuck on and they're still with it. And I'm very proud of that, to say the least. Um, but as far as personalities from like our higher ups and people that, yeah, I mean, I would say higher ups. I mean, it was very strange to say the least. Because I mean, as you just stated, I mean, there was a lot of back and forth even within the department ourselves, and even within the department ourselves. And like, and to know, I mean, one of the judges, which I think you said Kelly Forrest, Judge
Judge Kelly
Forrest.
Forrest.
Yeah, I mean, I even to last of my knowledge, I believe like her stamp of approval, or like when we knew that she was, assigned to a case, so to speak, um, it was a fucking shit stain, like an actual
Hmm.
shit stain. And I believe like in the emails,
Entertainer
her
for that.
name had came up as Smelly Forest. So, and
Okay.
I don't know, it's just very strange, just to say the least, and you really didn't know, well, damn, are they joking? Are they being serious? I mean,
I see.
and if I had those concerns, and now that and maybe maybe I just pushed it aside as I thought, okay, maybe they're just friends. Maybe they spend a lot of time outside of the department. Maybe that's the reason for behind it. But I mean, I don't know. Again, it's just all a bit strange. And I mean, they promoted this environment of, or they tried to say the least, this environment that we're all together and one for all. But unfortunately, I mean, that's just not the case. I mean, if you
Seems
really break down to it, I
seems
mean, because a lot of
fake.
the really, really, and I
Okay.
mean, and I agree that's what it is. I mean, because you can't really be, especially in that type of environment and the work that we did. I mean, you can't really have that mindset. I mean, we can respect each other as colleagues, yes, but as far as that, I mean, that's it. I mean, 'cause at the end of the day, we're not going to always agree on the same thing. Um, and I mean, and I think that can show just by the type of clients that we all represented. Um,
Hmm. I did.
but
I want to ask. I did want to ask about a few of your clients.
yeah, so I mean, I felt I had a lot of high profile clients, and a lot of my work was done, and shared by word of mouth, to say the least. Um, because I just, again, I just tried to strive be, be the lawyer for the people, truly. I took a lot of cases that a lot of people didn't want. I took a lot of cases that were dropped at the last second.
Okay.
I represented G Spot in his case when his lawyer dropped it at the last minute, and then I even was representing Elena. Uh,
We had heard that. Um, I'm wondering, obviously, um, the timing of the firings, just before election day feels peculiar. Do you feel this was a deliberate
right.
attempt to kill cases you're involved in, such as the Elena case?
I would be lying to you if I said that I did not agree with that statement.
And do you know what the state of those cases is now you're gone? Like, are those cases done, or do some of the people that you've trained up, will they be able to represent? your clients in your stead?
So unfortunately, I think those cases will most likely go dead. There will be no longer movement with them. And the
Wow.
reason why I say this is not, against my fellow, well, my ex-fellow colleagues. It's just simply because of the figures that I was vetting that are a part of our very city. And I think, a lot of people can be, I think a lot of my ex-colleagues, they are intimidated by that. I mean, I know to say the least, I mean, they're even intimidated by their own bosses. Um, so yeah, and just to go back, just to reiterate on that
Mm-hmm.
point that you said, about it being a political move. You know, as in that meeting that I had with Isabella and Courtney following my termination, it was stated to me by Courtney herself. And she stated along the lines that, how'd she put it? Excuse me. Um, that she didn't know that I had that big of a problem with DOJ until I started running for deputy mayor
And
with Flint.
you didn't consider, from your perspective, the criticizing of Elena's disqualification. You didn't consider that to be anti DOJ, just a criticism of a political of a departmental decision.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, I mean, the timing behind it was very, very, very weird and very odd. Only because, we have we have the re we I mean, the department as a whole has resources at hand, to investigate matters as they should need to do so. Um, but I mean, we have working in the department of justice. You have a tablet with you at all times. You can easily open it up. Which is our mobile database terminal. Um, and search up, any record of any individual, within our city, and so that information could have easily been obtained because I did find out prior to her even being disqualified.
Mm.
Um,
Well, I mean, the news
because
was certainly about. I mean, Pillow Talk discussed, a disqualification or even a stepping down. It feels like this is something that obviously should have and could have been handled earlier. Do you think the news was kept back deliberately to make a scene at the debate or to harm a candidate? Obviously, perhaps to try and keep Elena off the ballot, which her efforts, scuppered.
I'd be lying to you if I did not say that I agree with that statement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because just look at the timing of it all. I mean, it could have easily happened before the debate even took place. We had, what, we had a whole month beforehand. Is that
It's
not
been a
is
long
that not
campaign,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So at any point in time, backgrounds, should have been ran, they should have been checked. Um, and then that way, the voters were not deceived and they weren't, and I will say too, time wasn't wasted. Imagine putting all that effort and all that just to be, oh, well, you're disqualified. And, and following my termination, I've heard some rumors that unfortunately my department is going to be dismantled, which is it
That
hurts. It
would
it really hurts.
seriously be
And
a loss for the community, particularly. I mean, there must be people that worked under you that would be able to take um, this forward. Obviously, it would be really troubling if the DOJ decided not to do so.
yeah, and that just, and really, it just allowed the DOJ to offer more services to the people of Evergreen. Um, and just getting rid of that, I just think is very upsetting. And I will say, yes, my department did not have a lot of foot traffic at the time being, but it was being utilized by, some businesses out there. And just to kind of have all that time and effort, go down the drain, I think really sucks and it's very unfortunate. I ensured that, I did have a second in command regarding my department, and that essentially, they knew everything that I did and that, if I ever did leave or, or if I was terminated like I was, um, that they would be able to successfully take for the department and have full confidence in doing so.
So
And
there is a I don't want to say heir, but there is a replacement in place. The DOJ would only
oh,
need
there is.
to shutter this department if they perhaps really wanted to.
Exactly, exactly. Because, there is, there's someone in place and there's someone, willing to do so,
Hmm.
And and I'll voice them. That's no, I won't voice them because I don't want any retaliation to go against them.
Yeah, of course.
But the department knows who my deputy department head was, and I believe they strive to do what to do what is right, and held a lot of the same oh, excuse me, a lot of the same characteristics that I have.
Hmm. So I'm wondering, obviously, we saw on, I believe it was Evergram, you, you and Flynn talking about, the race having brought you together, and I'm wondering, what does the future hold for you and Flynn also?
Yeah, so and we'll see, if it's not public knowledge now, I'll go ahead and state it. Me and Flynn have been together, we are partners.
I mean, anyone that walks into Pearl and sees you holding him, I think, obviously, could have put that together, but it is nice to dispel any doubts.
Yes, yes, truly. Uh, but with that being said, it really has brought us together, and I will say, we're we're definitely looking forward on the next thing that we can do and what we can bring to our city of Evergreen.
Hmm.
And that's all I'll say for now.
Okay, Montel, thank you for your time.
Of course, thank you so much.